Read the story, then answer questions 1 through 7. Bugs for Dinner by Ingrid Swenne Bookham. I gasped when my friend dangled a mealworm between her thumb and index finger and offered it to me as a mid-morning snack. Dangled means to hang or swing loosely, typically in a way that attracts attention or creates suspense. So I could never, I thought, even though Sumatra and I speak different languages, we find that we can talk in smiles. She showed up at my door this morning with two large clothes shopping bags and timid grin. I grabbed a bag, nodded, and we walked to Chatuchak Market. I was glad to have a friend in Thailand since our family moved to Bangkok 6 months ago. I had learned many things in Thailand. All parents give their children a nickname, Chilen, and it is often called cute or funny. Spatra's nickname is Kitty. My name is Anna, but Kitty calls me Lek Lek, which means very small. We wove our way through the bustling Thai marketplace. Swatra clutched a grocery list from her mother. Her other arm was locked around my elbow in a protective grasp. Canopies and awnings extended out from all the stalls, making me feel like I was being led around a maze of underground tunnels. It was so exciting. We dodged people, potholes, like holes or pits in the road surface, and pools of murky water. Busy shoppers laughed and haggled over prices. So here, ironings are like covering that hang over windows, doors, or outside areas of buildings. Every now and then, Spatras would stop and buy something from a vendor. I only recognized a few of the forest fruit like rambutans and several herbs like sweet basil and mint. Rambutans looked like small red and green apples covered with strange bristles, like spikes. When Spatra peeled off the shell, the fruit inside was white and sweet. We giggled as we ducked in and out of narrow aisles. She also picked up some meats, curry powder, and some very unusual looking vegetables. I have never been very brave when it comes to trying new foods. I hoped that my mom was making spaghetti for dinner tonight. All of a sudden, Spatra picked up the pace and flashed me a playful smile. She led me to a small cart deep within the maze of vendors. I smelled something both sugary and smoked. It was different from the pungent smells of curries and the sweet aroma of steamed rice that had crossed our paths earlier. I cringed, like I was uncomfortable when my eyes came to rest on an assortment of roasted bugs atop the car. I could see grasshoppers, crickets, mealworms, bumblebees, and beetles. Swatra giggled. Aloy ma, she exclaimed. My Thai teacher had taught me that this meant delicious. Although I wasn't too sure of that, I stepped back as Swatra selected several insects which the vendor placed in a small paper bag. Then I watched in shock as Swatra lifted a small grasshopper to her mouth. The insect made a popping sound as she bit down. She closed her eyes and smiled contentedly. I felt queasy. I didn't try the mealworm that she offered me either. On our walk home, Swatra turned to me. She mentioned a spoon nearing her mouth, pointed at me, then at her house and asked, like dinner? Her eyes took on a pleading expression as she waited. Images of all the unusual foods that we had just bought came rushing at me. Not to mention the bugs. I looked down at my feet. I have to ask my mom, Kitty, I stammered. I raced home. Of course, my mom would say yes, but what would I possibly tell Kitty? I couldn't speak Thai well enough to explain that the dinner menu terrified me, and I hated the idea of lying to her. I paced back and forth across my bedroom floor. I looked out my window at Swatra and her brother kicking a soccer ball in their yard. I headed towards them. Kitty, my mom said no. I lied. Supatra's shoulders sank, a pained expression came over her face, but she forced a smile. I slowly walked back towards my house. I am terrible friend, I mumbled. I thought back to when uh, Supatra and I first met. We couldn't speak to one another, but we spent hours riding our bikes together in the neighborhood. I loved being her friend. I knew what I had to do. After getting permission, I ran towards her house and knocked on the door. Supatra opened it. throwing her arms around me. The rest of Kitty's family was already seated at the table. I smiled weakly at my friend. A large bowl loaded with steamed rice was passed around first. Timidly, I scooped a little onto my plate, followed by some curried meats and vegetables. Next, a papaya salad and a clear noodle dish called yam wunsen came around. A trickle of nervous sweat made its way halfway down my forehead before I soaked it up and with the back of my hand. My heart thumped wildly in my chest. When I looked at Sufatra, she smiled at me encouragingly. I took a deep breath and let the air out again very slowly. I scooped up a giant spoonful of curried vegetables and rice and popped it in my mouth. The flavors made me taste buds jump. To my surprise, the meat curries were only a little spicy. The papaya salad was both peppery and sweet, with a hint of lime. It was my favorite. Aloima, I explained out loud. Spatra's family laughed. When Spatra offered me a beetle after dinner, I politely shook my head no, but grinned ear to ear as I watched her and her brother gobble down the insect. Grin means to smile widely, showing your teeth. So, how about dinner at my house tomorrow, Kitty? I asked her, making accompanying hand gestures. She suddenly stopped eating, and her eyes grew as wide as rambutan's. I was sure that she had never tried spaghetti. So, in question number one, in paragraph 7, what does the author's use of phrase picked up the pace and flashed me a playful smile indicate? Option A, Anna and Spatra need to hurry to finish their shopping. B, Anna has difficulty keeping up with Spatra in the unfamiliar place. C, Spatra enjoys the time she spends shopping with Anna. And D, Spatra expects that Anna will be surprised by what happens next. So if we read the paragraph, option D will be the suitable option here. Question number 2, which word best describes how Spatra is feeling in paragraph 12? Confident, confused, disappointed, and friendly. So we can see that it is written a pained expression came over her face. So she was disappointed. Question number 3, how does paragraph 14 fit into the structure of the story? It resolves the conflict that is presented in paragraph 13. It explains a problem that is solved in paragraph 15. It introduces the feelings of the narrator. Option D is it adds mystery to the events. So, in for paragraph 14, it is written that I ran towards her house and knocked on the door. So, Spatra opened it, throwing her arms around me. So, it's basically resolves the conflict that was present in the paragraph 13. Question number 4, read this sentence from paragraph 15 of the story. Timidly, I scooped a little onto my plate, followed by some curried meats and vegetables. What does the word timidly mean? Suggest unhappiness, uncertainty, friendliness, or bravery. So, timidly means doing something in a shy or nervous way. So we can say that uncertainly I scoop a little onto my plate. So option B is the suitable option out of the rest of the option. Question number 5, which statement best supports the theme of the story? Option A, since our family moved to Bangkok 6 months ago, I had learned many things. Option B, I have never been very brave when it comes to trying new foods. In paragraph 6, it was mentioned. Option C is she closed her eyes and smiled contentedly. D, my heart thumped wildly in my chest. So option B will be the suitable option if we read all the paragraphs carefully. So this one sentence describes the whole theme of the story. Question number 6, why does the author most likely include both paragraphs 16 and 17? Option A, to contrast for the reader Anna's earlier fears and enjoyment of the food. B, to explain to the reader why Spatra's family thinks Anna is funny. C, to help the reader understand the different flavors in Thai dishes. D, to show the reader how delicious Thai food is. So, aloema means delicious. So, first in paragraph 16, she was worried that is she going to eat the food or not, but in when she tasted the food, she really liked it. So, option A is the suitable option here to contrast for the reader Anna's earlier fears and her enjoyment of the food. Question number 17. What does the narrator's description in paragraph 18 most likely suggest about Anna? Option A. She is relieved that the dinner has ended. B. She accepts that her friend is different from her. C. She is determined to try unusual foods. D. She is curious about her friend's actions. So, the suitable option is that she accepts that her friend is different from her. Read this article, then answer question 8 through 14 on the Roof of the World by Benjamin Poch. A few summers ago, I was lucky to travel to Tibet, the roof of the world. Tibet is a small country surrounded on all sides by gigantic snowy mountain peaks for thousands of years. These towering mountains acted like a fence, keeping people from entering the country. That's one reason why explorers and writers have called Tibet the roof of the world. It's hard to get to. The other reason is Tibet's high elevation. When I climbed mountain passes over 17,000 feet above sea level. I gasped for air. I was more than 3 miles high. Years ago, the people of Tibet were nomads, people without permanent homes. The ground in Tibet is much too rocky and thin to grow crops, so Tibetans centered their daily life and survived on the yak. The yaks provided the nomads with nearly everything they needed: milk, butter, meat, and wool for clothes and robes. Even yak dung was used for fires. Tibetan nomads would lead their herds of yak and sheep across pastures, valleys, and mountain sides in search of the best grazing lands. They did not live in permanent homes made of wood, brick, and stones. Times are changing in Tibet, and more people live and work in villages and cities. But there are still nomads who survive on the high plateau just as their ancestors did, becoming a modern nomad. Some friends and I were traveling with our teacher, Dachum Dorji, to Kham in the eastern part of Tibet. Dachum was born in Tibet and lived in the first years of his life as a traditional nomad. Because of political problems, Dachum's family had to flee to India when he was still young. We were following Dachum back to his birthplace and getting a taste of that ancient nomadic way of life with a few modern updates. We had the advantage of automobiles, a luxury that nomads have happily survived without. When it comes time for a nomad family to move, they pack all their things in backpacks that they strap over their yokes. A typical family might need from 30 to 50 yokes to carry all their supplies. My friends and I had more than 50 bags to carry. We stuffed them in a bus while we piled into four-wheel drives. Problems along the way. When it comes to crossing rough country, yaks are the true all-terrain travelers. Many times the nomads have to cross raging rivers for the loyal and determined yaks. Crossing is not a problem, but when we had to cross a river, our four-wheel drives turned out to be not so loyal and reliable. We got stuck in the muddy banks of the river, and it took at least a dozen people pushing to get us out. So terrain means the kind of land or ground in an area. It can describe whether it's flat, rocky, hilly, or covered in forests. When nomads arrive at their destination, they are so skilled at setting up their large yak hair tents that they have them up in minutes. My friends and I, with our fancy supermodern tents, weren't quite as quick. At one campsite, I remember wrestling with one of my tent poles trying to pass it through the loops of my tent. Some smiling nomad kids approached and had me set up in no time, though they would never seen a tent like that before. It's cold up there. The weather in Tibet is cold and the brutal wind seems to show no mercy. Sitting inside a nomad tent, though you would never know it, with a warm fire burning in the mud stove and the snug black walls of the tent, you are so comfortable as can be. This was not the case in the fancy modern tents my friends and I slept in. I remember shivering through my four sweaters, three pairs of pants and blanket, listening to the chill rain hit my tent. Having the right attitude. On this trip, I learned that it takes much more than snug tents and thick, hearty tea to survive. You need the right attitude. Everywhere we traveled, the Tibetans were generous, happy, and curious. It might be a monk warming my frozen hands in his fur robes. It might be a family of nomads taking a break to dance and singing in a circle, or a handful of kids watching me with beaming smiles. Though their lives are full of challenges, the nomads never take their day to day problems too seriously. They know how impermanent things are, including their homes. We modern nomads learned some of these lessons. Perhaps when we cross the raging rivers or face the cold, bitter days of our lives, we will do it with a lot more of the right attitude. The same attitude that shines from the bright smiles of the Tibetan nomads. Question number 8. Why did the author and his friends choose to travel with Drjong Dorji? Option A, because he could show them the nomadic life he had lived in Tibet. B, because he was friends with many of the local Tibetans. C, because he could teach them to communicate with the nomads. D, because he could show them how to avoid traveling difficulties. So, as he born in Tibet and lived the first years of his life as traditional nomad, so option A will be the suitable option. Question number 9. What does the author mean by describing Yorks as true all-terrain travelers? Option A. The Yorks are not afraid of rough country. B. The Yorks are very gentle and good-natured. C. The Yorks manage Tibet's geographic obstacles very well. D. The Yorks provide everything the Tibetan nomads need. The Yorks manage Tibet's geographic obstacles very well. Question number 10. Why does the author include the story about his trouble setting up a tent? Option A, to explain why he wished he had bought a better tent. B, to demonstrate the difficulty of working in the harsh climate. C, to show why he would have preferred a Tibetan York hair tent. D, to provide an example of the abilities and generosity of the young Tibetans. So he remembered that some of the young Tibetan kids approached and they helped them to set up the tent. So option D is the suitable option here to provide an example of the abilities and generosity of the young Tibetans. Question number 11. Which sentences from the article best explain why Tibet is called the roof of the world? Option A. When I climbed mountains passes over 17,000 feet above sea level, I gasped for air. I was more than 3 miles high. B. Times are changing in Tibet and more people live and work in villages and cities, but there are still nomads who survive on the high plateau just as their ancestors did. C. But when we had to cross a river, our four-wheel drives turned out to be not so loyal and reliable. We got stuck in the muddy banks of the river and it took at least a dozen people pushing to get us out. D. The weather in Tibet is cold and the brutal wind seems to show no mercy. Sitting inside a nomad tent, though, you would never know it. So, Tibet is called the roof of the world because it is 7,000 feet above the sea level. So, option A is the suitable option here. Question number 12. Which sentence from the article best supports the conclusion that traditional nomadic customs can be as good as modern conveniences? Option A. We had the advantage of automobiles, a luxury that nomads have happily survived without. When it comes time for a nomad family to move, they pack all their things into large backpacks that they strap over their yokes. Option B. At one campsite, I remember wrestling with one of my tent poles trying to pass it through the loops of my tent. Some smiling nomad kids approached and had me set up in no time, though they would never seen a tent like that before. See, with a warm fire burning in the mud stove and the snug black walls of the tent, you are comfortable as can be. This was not the case in the fancy modern tents my friends and I slept in. Option D is, though their lives are full of challenges, the nomad never take their day-to-day problems too seriously. because they know how impermanent things are, including their homes. So, option C will be the suitable option to support that the conclusion that traditional nomadic customs can be good as modern conveniences. Question number 13. How is the article mainly structured? Option A with subsections focused on specific topics. Option B with an exploration of one nomadic group's life. C by presenting observations in chronological order. D by contrasting positive and negative aspects of nomadic life. So we can see that the article is divided into subsections like becoming a modern nomad, problem along the way, it's cold up there, having the right attitude. So option A with subsection focused on specific topics is the correct option here. Question number 14. Which of these is the best summary of this article? So if we read all four paragraphs, option C will be the suitable one. When the author traveled with friends to Tibet, he learned that many Tibetans continue to live as nomads. They follow the old customs of raising yaks, which help the nomads move from place to place as well as provide for their basic needs. Though the lives of the nomads present many difficulties, they have developed happy attitudes that suit their lives. Question number 15. Choose the correct sentence out of four sentences given below. Option A. The more we get, the more we want. Option B. More we get, more we want. C. More we get, the more we want. Option D is the more we get, more we want. So here option A is the suitable option. The more we get, the more we want. Question number 16. The root pulse means drive or push. What does the word compulsory means? Option A required or forced, B hostile or inclined to argue, C kind and generous, D driving a car. So the compulsory means required, necessary or forced. Question number 17. Which author's purpose is suggested by the following text? A fire pit surrounded with rocks is the safest place for a fire. The forest floor provides everything you need to make a great fire. Dry tinder, kindlings. Kindlings refers to small pieces of dry wood or other easily flammable materials that are used to start a fire. And fuel, wood. Small twigs, leaves, grass, or needles are ideal for tinder. Thin sticks work well for kindling, and larger branches are perfect for fuel. There are several methods to build a fire, including tipi, lean-to, cross, and log cabin. The log cabin style creates a long-lasting fire. To make a log cabin, pile tinder in the center of the pit, then stack kindlings around the tinder, creating a square like the wall of a mini log cabin. Lay more kindlings across the top and light the tinder in a couple of places. As the fire gets going, add more kindlings followed by larger fuel wood. Option A. To describe what a log cabin fire looks like. Option B. To explain how to start a fire. C. To explain several methods to build a fire. In option D, all of above. So here option B is the suitable option here. The passage is to explain how to start a fire. Question number 18. Read the claim below. Nursing is a highly rewarding career. Select a piece of evidence that best supports this claim. Option A. Nurses routinely save lives in the course of their work. B. Patients sometimes do not like or appreciate the work that nurses do. C. Becoming a registered nurse requires 2 to 4 years of training. D. All of above. So nursing is highly rewarding career because nurses routinely save lives in the course of their work. That's the reward. Question number 9. Read the claim below. Modular homes which are built in factories are just as good as traditionally built homes. Select the piece of evidence that best supports this claim. Option A. Sears, Roebuck and Co. sold some of the earliest modular homes through its mail order catalog until 1940. Option B is some modular homes can't be easily customized the way traditional homes can. C. Modular homes are designed and built according to the same standards of quality as homes built on a construction site. So option C will be the suitable option here. Question number 20. Consider this claim. Apple trees are the best fruit trees to have in your yard. Now consider how someone might argue against this. Which sentence presents a counterclaim to the above claim? Option A. Apple trees have prettier flowers than many other fruit trees. Option B. Apple trees can withstand lower temperatures and snow unlike many other fruit trees. Option C. Apple trees attract more pests than many fruit trees. D is none of above. So option C, apple trees attract more pests than many fruit trees can be the counterclaim of the apple trees are the best fruit trees to have in your yard. Question number 21, consider this claim. The most useful trick you can teach a dog is to shake your hand. Now consider how someone might argue against this. Which sentence presents a counterclaim to the above claim? Option A, dogs that can shake hands tend to be more agreeable during nail trimming. B. Teaching dogs to stay can help to keep them from accidentally running away. C. Most dogs are capable of learning many different useful tricks. And D is none of the above. So out of these four options, B is the suitable one. Question number 22. Look at the word indifference as used in the passage. Is punctuation sending the wrong message? What does indifference mean? According to researchers at Binghamton University, ending a thought with a period in a text message may convey indifference or insincerity. In other words, people who receive such a message might interpret the ending punctuation to mean that the sender cares less about them or is less genuine. Celia Klin, an associate professor of psychology at Binghamton University, examined these curious texting rules in a study. So option A, lack of respect for rules. B, talent with words. C, lack of concern or interest. Option D is none of the above. So indifference or insincerity means dishonesty or not interested. So here option C will be the suitable option here. The meaning of indifference will be lack of concern or interest in the given passage. Question number 23. Look at the word productive as used in the passage. Early to bed and early to rise. What does productive mean? More importantly, society often assumes that early risers are more responsible than those who have to drag themselves out of bed. Our culture is full of stories of leaders waking up extremely early and having a productive day before the rest of the world is awake. So option A is predictable, B leading to results, C completely relaxed, and D none of these. So the meaning of productive will be leading to results. So option B is the correct option here. Question number 24. Which word is synonym of bestow? Option A give, B hide, C take, or D fall. Some synonyms of bestow are grant, award, give, or donate. So option A is the suitable option here. Question number 25. Which word is an antonym of gaudy? Option A affordable, B tasteful, C wonderful, D beautiful. So tasteful is the correct option because some of the antonyms of gaudy are refined, sophisticated, modest, plain, or tasteful. So option B is the correct one. Question number 26. Complete the analogy. Chef is to knife as farmer is to tractor, farmhouse, plant, or flower. So knife is a tool for chef. Similarly, a tractor is a tool for farmer. So option A is the suitable option. Chef is to knife as farmer is to tractor. Question number 27. Complete the analogy. Nibble is to bite as sip is to drop, gulp, liquid, or bread. So nibble means tasting and gulp means swallowing. So nibble is to bite as sip is to gulp. So option B is the correct option here. Question number 28. Complete the text with the correct word. Flight data recorders, also known as black boxes, are required on all commercial flights. Their main purpose is to record important flight information. that can be used to investigate crashes. So option A is the suitable option here. Question number 29. Look at this thesaurus entry. Brawl. Part of speech is noun, definition, and altercation. Synonyms: clash, dispute, melee, scuffle, or skirmish. What is a brawl? A physical fight, a verbal argument, both of these, and option D is none of these. So, brawl refers to a noisy, chaotic, and often violent fight involving a group of people. It typically implies a physical altercation. So, option A is the suitable option here. Brawl is a physical fight. Question number 30. Look at this thesaurus entry, listless. Part of speech, adjective, definition, without energy. Synonyms: idle, inactive, lazy. Who is more likely to be described as listless? Option A, a person who works long hours. B, a person who is bored. C, both of the above. And D, none of the above. So if we look at the synonyms of the listless, option B will be the suitable option, a person who is bored.